Very good morning, students. This video is on the speech areas of cerebral cortex. Okay, as you must be knowing that the cerebral cortex in each cerebral hemisphere has many functional areas. Some are sensory, some are motor, and some are uh, association areas. Okay, today we will discuss about the speech areas of cerebral cortex which are responsible for the language. Okay, it is the sensory language or speech area and the motor speech area. Okay, so we will just go through the details of the language areas. Now the speech or the language area of cerebral cortex, as it is shown here in this supralateral surface of the diagram, that there are various areas are shown. Now in this supralateral surface you can see that this is the precentral gyrus, this is the postcentral gyrus, this is the Broca's area of the motor speech, and this is the Wernicke's area, okay, for the sensory speech. The 17, as you must be knowing, is the area for the vision, and then here is the 41 and 42 area on the superior surface of superior temporal gyrus for the hearing or auditory area. So in this way there are various areas are located within the cerebral cortex in each of the cerebral hemisphere. Now if we come to the language proper, we will now concentrate only on the speech areas of cerebral cortex. Then we see that there are two types of the speech areas which are located on the cerebral cortex of dominant cerebral hemisphere. Now, what is dominant cerebral hemisphere? As most of the population, say up to 95%, they use their right hand. So their dominant cerebral hemisphere is the left cerebral hemisphere. And here the language areas of cerebral cortex or speech area of cerebral cortex, they are located in the dominant cerebral hemisphere, mostly into the left cerebral hemisphere, both the motor and sensory. Now this speech or language area, as I said, that they are having two different parts. Number one, there is the speech area, okay, which is sensory. Then there is a speech area which is motor. Now the sensory speech area is known as Wernicke's area of the sensory speech, and this area is located on the supralateral surface of the superior temporal gyrus. Here where I am moving my pointer, this area is the Wernicke area of the sensory speech, and this is located in the temporal lobe and in the superior temporal gyrus just behind the area 22, which is an association area for the auditory area 41 and 42. So a part of the Wernicke area is extending on the area 22. This is the sensory speech area. The other speech area is called as the Broca's area of motor speech, and this is 45 and 44, and this is located here in the inferior frontal gyrus in the frontal lobe. This is the frontal lobe and this is the inferior frontal gyrus. This is the ramus of the stem of the lateral sulcus, which is dividing into three: ascending ramus, horizontal ramus, and the posterior ramus. Now here this is in the area 44 and 45, thus is the Broca's motor area of the speech. Okay, so now you know that there are two different areas for the speech. One is motor and another is the sensory area. Now let's come to the Wernicke's area for sensory speech. Just few words about this. this area, Wernicke's area of sensory speech. As I said that it is located in the posterior most part of the area 22, which is association cortex for auditory area 41 and 42. Now this 41 and 42, though it is shown here in superior temporal gyrus, much extends see here, but most of its area it is lying on superior surface of the superior temporal gyrus, and area 22 occupies a large area of the superior temporal gyrus, and its posterior part is included in the Wernicke's sensory area for the speech. This is one view, okay, that the part of the superior temporal gyrus which lies posterior to area 22, including its small part, is called as the Wernicke speech sensory area for speech. According to some other authors, the Wernicke sensory speech area is quite extensive. This includes this area, of course, okay, that means the posterior part of the area 22 in the superior temporal gyrus, then an area 39 which is also known as angular gyrus, and an area 40 which is called as the supramarginal gyrus. Okay, now this area 42 and 39, they are located in the temporal lobe. They are located in the parietal lobe, while the Wernicke area, which is posterior to area 22, is located in temporal. Thus, according to some of the author which believes that this Wernicke area is quite extensive. It is extending in two different lobes, that is temporal lobe and the parietal lobe. So this area, the whole area, this will be called as the Wernicke area. We will not go into this controversy much, okay, just I have put the two different hypothesis which tells where is the Wernicke area is located on the supralateral surface, especially of the left cerebral hemisphere. Let us see what is the Wernicke area, sensory speech area. Now this Wernicke sensory speech area, if you see here this particular area which is posterior to the which is located in the superior temporal gyrus, here it has the language functions like that. It is important for the interpretation of the spoken and written words. That means whatsoever a person is speaking, he is being interpreted in this Wernicke area, or whatsoever he is reading, the written words from a book, that is also analyzed and interpreted. Thus both the kind of input, whether it is spoken, which is by hearing, that is which comes from area 41, 42, and then which is the written words which is read by an individual, which is input comes from the visual area. So both the written as well as the spoken, they are ultimately interpreted in this Wernicke area, sensory speech area here. We will see further. Now, as some author believes that the area 40 and area 39 and the infraparietal lobules which are located in parietal lobe here, they are also included in Wernicke area. Then question comes, what is the function of the area 40? Okay, now this area 40 is not well described in the most of the books and literature, and probably this area 40 analyze the meaning of what is written. That means the input comes from the visual cortex, and this area help us to analyze what are the meaning of those written words or sentences. Okay, it also analyze the speech sound, okay, the phonetics of the speech or spoken words, that has also been analyzed here, okay, is being analyzed here in the area 40, though we do not know much about what this area 40 is doing beside this. When we come to the Wernicke area, sensory speech area 39 here again, here in the parietal lobe, okay, angular gyrus as it is called as, then we will see that this area also is helpful in both for the analysis of the written words, okay, which is for which the input come from the visual cortex here, area 17, for the when a person is reading a book, okay, or he is seeing the screen, whatsoever written words, that input comes from the visual area to the area 39. Similarly, when he is listening to someone or listening to a lecture, then this input comes from the area number 41, auditory area, to area number 39. Okay, so this area 39, which is first to receive these two input of the language, okay, whether written or that of the spoken, that is first analyzed here. Okay, this is analyzed, and then it is a preliminary analysis of those sensory input through the written and that is spoken, and then this 39 angular area and probably 40 area also send this information to that of the Wernicke area, which is in the superior temporal gyrus. Okay, then it comes to the Wernicke area. Now, then what is the function of the Wernicke area? Now this Wernicke area, sensory speech area, which is in superior temporal gyrus just posterior to area 22, its main function is to interpretation of spoken word, and spoken word he has received from 39 through the auditory cortex, okay, that is which has ultimately coming from area 41 and 42. Secondly, it is also the site for the interpretation of the written words, which is coming from area 17 or from the visual cortex via area number 39. So both visual and that of the auditory input of a language ultimately reaches to the Wernicke sensory speech area. Now, if we see the exact function of the Wernicke area, this area is involved in comprehension. It is involved in comprehension of written and both spoken word, as I have already told you in the previous slide, not only words but in sentences also. So a person analyze or come to know what is written or what is spoken. He knows and understands the meaning of the what he is reading from the books or what he is listening from his ear, okay, or the lecture what he is listening, and that meaning he comprehend. Okay, now this area is also it also organizes and composes the words to be spoken later. That means this is not only comprehending those of the spoken and the I mean to say written words by visual and auditory areas we received from visual, but this center, the main important function is that it is trying to compose. Trying means it composes, okay, and organize the words to form the sentences which has the meaning, which those sentences should have the meaning. So that processing of formation of sentences with the help of the word, it takes place here into the area of the Wernicke. Okay, now this area, as I said, is not only capable to compare the simple words or the sentences, but it can also compose very complex and the long sentences, okay, long sentences. Now, if you see the lesion of this Wernicke area, okay, whether it is an extensive Wernicke area or it is only limited to the superior temporal gyrus, then this will destroy this sensory speech area, okay, and this will lead to a condition what is called as the sensory aphasia. It is sensory aphasia, which is also known as Wernicke's aphasia or receptive aphasia. Sensory aphasia, Wernicke's aphasia, or receptive aphasia. So in this condition, due to the destruction of the Wernicke's sensory speech area, person is unable to understand both spoken or written words. It means he cannot comprehend what was spoken, what was he read from the books. Okay, he read, he doesn't know the meaning of those, okay, or doesn't recognize that the words and spoken words are written words, though his vision and hearings are normal. He is perfectly normal in hearing as well as in vision, and this is due to the, as I said, because of the lesion of the Wernicke area. He is unable to know the meanings of written or the spoken words. So the person is unable to communicate, and because if it is like this, then person will become unable to communicate by speaking or by writing. Okay, if you'll ask him to speak, what does it mean, what he has heard, what he has I mean to say read from the written words, he will not be able to speak, okay, those meaning of those words speaking, or by even he will be not able to write and tell the meaning of that. What he says will not make any sense, okay. So he may speak, because his speech is normal, he may speak, but whatsoever he will speak will be irrelevant. Whatsoever he will write will not be having any sense. Okay, so there is no meaning of what he is speaking or what he is writing. Okay, so it is I mean to say, whatsoever he will speak will have no meaning, and a person which is listening to his speech, okay, will not be able to make out anything what he want to say, because he is talking irrelevantly, okay, irrelevantly, right. So this is the part of the language, that is the sensory speech. Okay, let's come to the motor speech part of the language. Now, motor speech area of the Broca is area 45 and 44, as I said, in the inferior frontal gyrus, and this is just above the stem of the lateral sulcus. Okay, and this is the area, main area for the production, motor production of the language. Okay, whatsoever we speak, it is through this center, the Broca's area. Now, how this Broca's area works, okay, how the motor speech is produced in this center, that is 44 and 46. Area 44 and 46, no, it is 45, sorry. Area 44 and 45 of the Broca's motor speech area, as it is known, it receives the organized and composed word in normal person. Organize and compose words and sentences from Wernicke's area. See this. This was the our Wernicke area in superior temporal gyrus, and this is connected with the Broca's area with the help of a fasciculus or wide band of the fibers, and this is known as the arcuate fasciculus or superior longitudinal fasciculus, which has the afferent and efferent fibers here. And this Wernicke area will first organize and compose the words which are to be spoken, and forms the meaningful sentence. Okay, and these sentences and meaningful word which have been processed in the Wernicke area, they will now through the arcuate fasciculus will go to the Broca's area, area 44 and 45. Now what is the function of area 44 and 45? After receiving this sensible words and sentences from Wernicke sensory area, this area 44 and 45 will generate the impulses. Okay, after planning of how to plan the motor activity, that will be done. Okay, how these words and sentences will ultimately will be planned, that means process, ultimately formulated, how they will be formulated and processed, and then this 44 and 45 area is the main center where the information is generated, I mean to say impulses are generated. Okay, what is to be spoken, and this ultimately the whole program then will be transferred to an area what is called, it is in the precentral gyrus, lowest part of the, where I am moving this pointer, lowest part of the precentral gyrus, which is called as the motor cortex for mouth and tongue, where the centers, motor centers for mouth and tongues are there. Now this information will go to this motor area, and because of this, as per the planning of the 45 and 44 area, a person will start speaking, and the language is produced by the vocal cord, that means larynx is there, which produce the sound which has no, I mean to say, meaning, and this sound is then articulated with the help of the lips, movement of the lips, movement of the tongue, the teeth, and teeth moves because of the mandible moves here, so it is the movement of the mandible. Then it is the, I mean to say, the function of the palate, and all these structures, the lips, tongue, teeth and palate, they will ultimately produce a speech what is called as an articulated meaningful speech. Okay, in this way the Broca's area will produce a motor, which is a motor speech area, will produce the speech. Okay, what is motor aphasia or expressive aphasia? Now, this is the loss of ability to speak due to the lesion of motor speech area of Broca. With the motor speech area of Broca is destroyed, then there will be loss of the motor speech. Okay, a person will not be able to speak, okay, because his lips, his tongue, his palate, everything is not working as per the direction given by the Broca's area. So person though will recognize the words by seeing, he is reading, because his sensory part of the speech or language is intact, that is Wernicke area is fully functional. He is whatsoever he is reading, that means by seeing through the visual cortex, and then whatsoever he is listening the words, okay, sentences, that he is understanding each and everything of their meaning. But then suppose if you are ask me what is your name, if I am suffering from the motor aphasia, I will heard your question, okay, but I will not be able to say that my name is Dr. Pal. Okay, so because I am that time suffering from the motor aphasia. Okay, so there is unable to speak. A person in motor aphasia become unable to speak. The lips, tongue, lower jaw, larynx and are intact. They are all intact, but they are unable to produce the speech because Broca area is not processing or planning what should be spoken. Okay, so and this is due to failure to generate motor impulse by the Broca's area. Thank you very much for watching this video on to the motor and sensory cortical areas of the language or speech.